fans, I am going to try and do some work on this Daredevil number 16. You can see, I think it's been water damaged, and it's all very crinkly, and it goes right through the comic. You can see here, it's like a tide line here, and it's on the inside of the comic as well. And you can see it's all sort of distorted. One of the strange things about water damage is the best way of fixing it, and you can see it again here on the back page. The best way of fixing it is actually by using water to wash it all through. You can see on the back page here too. So this is a nice comic because this is the first crossover of Spider-Man into Daredevil, and it's also the first John Romita Spider-Man art. So other than this water damage, actually it's not in bad condition. The staples are attached nicely. The main issue, other than the water damage, is there's some serious colour rub here, and it looks as if we've got some sort of, because it's been in the water, it's probably got some fungus infection. Anyway, I'm going to try and do something with it, and I'll show you the end results. Enough said, see you again soon, that's your lot. Okay guys, here you can see I put this Daredevil 16, badly water damaged and with some, I think probably fungus growing on it. I put it in a water bath. I ran it under a tap for about 5-10 minutes, and then I put it in this water bath. I've added a bit of dilute hydrogen peroxide, which may help kill off the fungus, hopefully. So we're going to leave it in this water bath, I think, for 48 hours and let it have a really good soak. There we go. That's stage one of my cleaning process, or process to try and get this Daredevil 16 back into some sort of shape. Okay, so here we have my Daredevil number 16. It's been soaking for about a day and a half. You can see here the colour of this water has gone a sort of yellowy brown colour. You can also see that this comic has now lost all its stresses, so all the crinkling has gone. The trick now is to dry this out without getting the crinkles back, so this could be a long process. Also, you can see that the areas with the mold growth, still a bit, that still can see signs of it, but is heavily reduced. Not only that, but the hydrogen peroxide is an antiseptic, and it will have killed off, if there were any of those mold spores left alive here, the hydrogen peroxide will have killed them off. So not only have we cleaned this, we've in terms of slightly bleaching it, the paper, but we've also cleaned it by killing off the spores from the mold. Right, next long task is drying this carefully. So yeah, I'll show you how we get on. Hi comic book fans, we're back with my Daredevil 16. So it's quite hot yesterday, so the comic dried out quite quickly. You do have to keep an eye on it, have to make sure it's keeping flat, evenly pressured. So I've had this comic in my cold press. Basically, I've got 2 glass plates, and then I've got a couple of large books and some weights on the top. So this is my cold press. So the comic has been under this cold press all night, and we can see it here under the glass. Let's just lift up that glass, and there we have the front page of the comic. Now, the first thing you're going to note is the comic is flat. This comic was horribly distorted prior to this washing process. But what happens with soaking the comic is all the fibres, in the cellulose fibres in the paper, relax and return back to their original positions. So as long as you evenly distribute the water and fully soak it, and then you dry it slowly under a bit of pressure, it will revert back to its original flat shape, which this has done. Right, the other thing you will notice is that up here we had significant water staining and mould growth. Okay, you can just see the remains of the mould just above that 10D box there. There's a bit of an old mould mark. But what has happened is the water staining has almost completely gone. So let's just look on the back of the front page, because that's where it was most evident. You can't see anything here now. That water staining, you can see some of the, you can see a small amount of it here. But this was really badly water stained. And if we look at the internal pages, they are clean. Look at this splash cover page, beautifully clean, beautifully flat. Again, a couple more of the internal pages, clean and really nice, in fact. And then if we turn over and look at the back, which was equally as bad, this is cleaned up significantly. It's lovely and flat. You can just see the remains of the water staining and the mould here, but this was really bad. So this is cleaned up significantly, and I'm happy to put this into a bag and board. I'll probably leave it under the cold press for another day. Leaving under the cold press for a period of time does mean that it retains its shape. So this will probably just sit here on the cold press for another 24 hours actually before I bag and board it. Just talk about the process here and why it works. What happens generally with water damage is that part of the comic gets water on it, and what happens is you almost get a tide mark coming up into the comic. By soaking the comic, that all comes off, it all removes, it washes out. So it seems counterintuitive to treat water damage with water, but it's about equally treating all of the pages. And if you do that, you can get the comic to being flat again, and you can get rid of a lot of the dirt. Right, I used a hydrogen peroxide solution. Now, hydrogen peroxide, I use a food grade 12%, okay? But I dilute that significantly. So I used about 100 mils of that in about 5 or 6 litres of water. So we were probably talking a 0.2% solution of hydrogen peroxide. So very low. Don't recommend this unless you're like me. I've got a science background. I've got a degree in chemistry and biochemistry. I know how to handle chemicals correctly. So hydrogen peroxide, don't advise this at home unless you've got some special chemical training. You can buy this, it is available. It's used as a bleach and as also for sterilising equipment. The dilution level that I used, once it's that dilute, it's not that harmful, but in the 12%, you need to be careful. Why did I use it? Well, it doesn't just have a bleaching effect, it has a antiseptic effect as well. So what it will have done is it will have killed off any of this mould that was still active or got any spores. The hydrogen peroxide will have killed it, which is what I wanted. Now, interesting, do we view this as restoration or preservation? Does this deserve a purple label? I don't know. I might send this off to CGC just to see what will happen. What grade do I think this now is? Well, in its previous state, this was probably a 2.0. But now there's nothing missing from this. It's all present. The worst defect on this is this colour rub here on the cover, which is significant. And you know, that was never going to be corrected by me washing it, but you know, it's looking a lot cleaner. Have I raised this up to a 4.0? I don't know. I'd probably give it a 3.5. So I think I've taken it from a 2.0 to a 3 or 3.5. I might submit it to CGC and see whether it gets a blue label or a purple label. Let me know what you think in the comments. The next candidate I've got for washing is this comic here. It's Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 1. And this hasn't got, I can't see any visible sort of tide marks, but it clearly has been, if you look at it, it is all misshapen, okay? Can you see that? So I think this has been exposed to moisture and it's dried unevenly, but otherwise this comic is really nice. If I could get this flattened out now, if I just put that in a hot press, it'll crease, okay? I need to get that lying flat before I press it. So there's another candidate for soaking in water, and that's probably the next one I'll do. Other than that sort of misshapenness and this labour, which hopefully will come off if I soak it, this is quite a nice condition. So yeah, that's probably my next candidate. That's your lot. See you again soon.